Benjamin Moore offers more than just paint. They offer partnership, backed by over 140 years of innovation and crafted from the finest ingredients. Their products deliver exceptional performance and efficiency on every project. Find out how they can support your success. Connect with your local rep today at benjaminmoore.com. The folks over at Danner have been building boots here in the USA for nearly a century. Their factory in Portland, Oregon, is staffed by skilled boot makers from all walks of life. They show up every day to build boots worthy of the toughest workers in America. Every tool used expertly to its fullest capacity with honor and trust. The integrity that they build with speaks for Danner's legacy of quality. Find boots built in the USA over at danner.com. Festool is inviting professional builders and tradespeople to experience the next generation of cordless performance and rewarding them for it. Festool just launched its Cordless Test Drive, a nationwide opportunity to try its cordless tools with new battery technology and enter to win over $50,000 in prizes. The grand prize, a fully outfitted 7x16 Southland cargo trailer loaded with bot storage solutions and more than 30 Festool cordless tools, including track saws, a cordless table saw, and miter saw. It's easy to enter. Register an eligible Festool cordless tool, leave a review, and you're in. Even better, Festool's 30-day risk-free trial lets you test the tools before you commit. Head to festoolusa.com/test drive to enter by December 31st. Bring the warmth of stained wood to exterior ceilings, soffits, and more without the maintenance. Versatex Canvas Series pairs premium wood tone laminates with durable cellular PVC for long-lasting curb appeal. Versatex resists moisture, rot, and insects and installs with standard woodworking tools. Available in 9 distinctive finishes like Turner Oak, Natural Amber, and Driftwood across multiple trim profiles. Explore the full Canvas Series lineup at versatex.com. This comes from our FHB Forum that Ian is a moderator, and I'll put a link to the question, but this comes from D. Dart, who writes, renovating my 50-year-old home in central North Carolina, Zone 3A, where humidity prevails and one half the year we heat while the other half we cool. I've read on the benefits of continuous insulation, and since the project involves replacing windows and exterior siding, it seems like a good opportune time to install 1 inch of foam continuous insulation under new wood siding. D. Dart, congratulations. Oh my gosh, we try and get the word out about this. Nobody does this. You're absolutely right. This is when you want to do it. Good for you. The cost is very similar for both 1 inch XPS and 1 inch foil-faced Polyiso. I like the idea of Polyiso because it's not cold enough here to experience the R value fall off, but I am concerned about the class 1 vapor barrier, the foil Polyiso provides on the exterior. Seems the foam over the sheathing will help combat surface condensation, and I don't plan to introduce anything on the interior that would create an additional vapor barrier, but I'm unsure if it's better to avoid a vapor barrier altogether and go with a higher perm XPS or work to keep exterior humidity from entering the wall. I'll also work to prioritize solid flashing and detailing for water management as well as air sealing, but I'd appreciate any insights regarding an exterior vapor barrier in this particular climate. All right, so in this location, 5A, does it matter whether you use XPS or Polyiso in this assembly for a continuous insulation? Ian, what do you think?
So the short answer is no. And because this is a different climate zone than I've ever done anything in, as part of my work as the moderator for the FHB Forum, I reached out to a whole bunch of people that I know from the industry that could answer this question better than I can. So Josh Salinger of FHB article fame from Portland, Oregon, chimed in with a really great technical answer that explained why the answer is not really in this case. And he did go through all of the importance of air sealing and having a good HVAC system and managing your indoor humidity. But then when it came to the issue of the Polyiso or the XPS, he was referring to the class 1 foil-faced Polyiso, which, as he put it, will keep summertime humidity from getting in, which is a good thing. The flip side is in the winter, you need to make sure that that class 1 insulation is thick enough that it'll keep the sheathing warm. And when you go through the IECC and you look at that climate zone, the R value that you need is R13, which the 1-inch foil-faced polyiso in this case will suffice.
Grant, what do you think? Is it easier to work with foil-faced polyiso than EPS? I would think it is. I find EPS to be kind of flimsy and horrible to work with.
Yeah. Did he say EPS or XPS?
Oh, my bad. XPS. My bad. XPS is not bad.
So I would say I don't think there's too much different in terms of XPS or polyiso. I think it's both going to be about the same. You're going to cut it on a table saw probably if you have to. The biggest difference would be, if you have something foil face, you could potentially tape the seams and use that as your WRB if you want to. But there's also a lot of people out there who are starting to realize, you have to make sure you get a good tape and all that good jazz, because that can, those panels can move. I think to Dee's point, I think either one they're going to be successful with, regardless of what they choose. I'd say pick what you can get the easiest and your supplier has, where if you're a couple sheets short, you can go get it.
Josh did.
XPS has tape too. I've seen, Dow's tape for blue foam in a number of instances, and it seems to work well to stick to that material. It does have its challenges to stick.
Yeah.
And Josh had a great point at the end of the post that he made about using a vapor open product like wood fiber board or mineral wool. The same code requirements would still apply, but that vapor openness of those products would be really helpful to the longevity of the assembly and the house, especially if you're residing it and are going to put a rain screen on it as well.
I have a question though. So, one of the appealing aspects of this continuous insulation is its ability to slow vapor drive from the exterior, right? And with the potential of it getting into framing cavities in the cooling season when it's going to condense on the drywall or find its way to condense somewhere else. But the mineral wool or wood fiber insulation would not do that. Wouldn't that be a disadvantage?
It would depend on how you have your HVAC system set up. If you have good ventilation and you have a good ventilated rain screen, I don't think the issues are quite as bad as one would think.
Yeah,
and in a climate where you're heating and cooling, as DART is in, there are some benefits to keeping a fully vapor open assembly.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually what I was thinking here is this would be a great for, take a vapor permeable peel and stick WRB product, what Obdyke has their Hydra Gap or Blueskin VP100, something like that. I think the biggest thing is if you're going to go that route with a permeable insulation on the outside, you just have to be airtight. But if you can make it airtight, I don't see much issue with the vapor drive, especially on a ventilated cladding that's not. I mean, it doesn't sound like he's putting anything that's particularly reservoir cladding on the outside of the house. So, yeah, I like that idea actually a lot. Comfort board or a timber board or something like that. For sure, I think works.
And Patrick, you've mentioned on the podcast many times that you need a pressure differential inside the house.
You need holes. You need air leaks. Yeah.
What is it like? It's like a cup of water versus a couple drops of water. Like Joe Stieberg has that like famous thing in his one paper where it's like, as long as you're airtight. I mean, if you're not airtight, then you could have a problem. But if you're not airtight, you're going to have a problem with XPS on the outside of the house too.
Yeah.
If D-Dart wasn't already re-siding this house, do you guys think that adding continuous insulation would ever be would make sense financially? Would you get a payback on those upgrades? Would the house be more comfortable? Is there any reason to do it?
In terms of, is it worth ripping your siding off your house to do it?
Yeah, and replacing the windows, and yeah. What do you think?
I don't know if it makes sense to rip it off just for the purpose of putting insulation on, but I would say if you're ripping the siding off or windows out, it makes sense to do it at that time.
Right.
But I wouldn't rip out perfectly good windows to put exterior insulation on these houses.
Yeah, the project that I mentioned at the open of the show, the energy retrofit that we're doing, this is the scope of work that we're doing. It's currently sheathed with XPS foam. So I think this was a late 80s.
So they pulled off board sheathing or something and then put...
No, it's a late 80s build. So right from the start, this thing was sheathed in XPS. So we're going to pull that off along with the siding, which did not perform very well over its life. It's kind of a rough sawn cedar board siding that the woodpeckers absolutely love. And that's part of the reason that they're going with hardy now. But so our assembly is going to be the stud cavity, which we're going to insulate that stud cavity, spray a combination of spray foam and dense pack, and then we're going to sheathe with, I believe, CDX is what we've called for, and then we're going to do, I believe it's Proclima's Mento WRB, do all of our air sealing. We're going to put in triple pane windows and then do 2 layers of EPS and then a rain screen and new siding. But it has a lot to do with comfort issues. You know, the payback, you know, in a bookkeeping way of thinking about it is not going to be there, but it's for 2 people who work from home, spend a lot of time in their home offices, and have some pretty severe comfort issues in those offices and changes in temperature throughout the house.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. We should briefly talk about DDART's concerns about Polyiso's reduced R value in cold temperatures. And if you're unfamiliar, that's what happens. R value does not perform as well as other insulations in extremely cold temperatures, and people think it's because of the trapped gases in the material that, you know, make it resist heat flow. Behave differently in super cold temperatures, so you don't get the, you know, R5 per inch or whatever it is that you would ordinarily. But it has to be really cold, as I recall, like sub-zero. Yeah, you're nodding, Ian. You're familiar.
Yeah. It was something that where I lived in New York State, just, you know, an hour north of New York City, was very common, but it is not at all common back here in Wisconsin where I am now. It's almost exclusively XPS and EPS.
Interesting. What do you think, Grant?
Yeah, I know and I guess there's all kinds of, I saw, I want to say it was Ben Bogey had a product at the builder show. I think Fine Homebuilding did a social short with him that I think it was Atlas maybe came out with a polyiso for roofs that's apparently less susceptible to this thermal degradation or whatever they call it. The where it's super cold temperatures, it doesn't insulate as well. However, I think the important thing to remember too is at that point, it's not like it drops off and you get no insulation value. You might drop to, like, instead of, you know, 6 point whatever an inch, it's, you know, it's more like XPS. It's more like 5. So, you know, it's something that it matters, but I think as manufacturers keep working on these products too, like I remember like Dow Thermax was one a couple years ago, and they had like significantly reduced that thermal sway. And I think we're just going to see in the upcoming years, these manufacturers and material scientists are going to figure out how to make that not a problem anymore. But not that it's a big problem to begin with either. But.
Exactly. And at thicker insulation levels, right, it's less of a problem because the interior part of the insulation, which is kept warm by the exterior insulation, it doesn't happen as much.
Exactly.
And to Grant's point, where I do see it commonly here in the upper Midwest is in those flat roof assemblies. It's just not being clad onto the sides of homes often here.
There is one other thing I was thinking about for if you're worried at all, or I don't know where you're at. I mean, in NC, you could be in a kind of a wooey type area. Your foil face polyiso will be a little bit better in terms of fire resistance between the siding and the insulation with that rain screen than say XPS will be. That's maybe one thing to think about. I don't know how important it is to you or not, but that is one thing to potentially think about.
And we encourage folks to use polyiso because it is more environmentally benign, although, EPS and XPS have different blowing agents than they used to, which are less environmental.
Well, now it's like GPS is almost, it seems like GPS is like the rage right now, kind of taking XPS's lunch in some areas. And that seems like a really good product as well. So
we should tell folks that has graphite added to it, which improves its R value, right?
Yeah, and makes it more stable. The people who have this deck, I'm doing this deck for, they just had their crawl space encapsulated, and the company did a very nice job. I was very impressed with them, but they used that Halo subsurface GPS, and it was nice. It was a good product. I had an opportunity to kind of see what they were doing, and I crawled in with them when they were working to take a look, and I was impressed with that product.
Is it not so much nicer when they're done compared to when they start? Oh my gosh, it's like
the problem is I had to do all my work before they started because then it had to all be done for them to be able to do it. But
right,
it was
because you're going to be the
now
one
I'm like
making
I
an
can take
impossible
a nap
mess.
under there now, man. It's nice and cool, and there's no pests. It's comfortable. There's two beautiful April air dehumidifiers. The company did a very excellent job. At first the homeowners they were talking to me about it, and they're not building scientists, so they're like, we think they're doing a good job. And then when I saw what they were doing and had a chance to talk to the foreman, I said, yeah, you got a good product here. They did a great job. They came down the walls with insulation and then actually across the floor, took out all the floor insulation, which was just one of those things that it obviously had mold and everything like that in it. And then they encapsulated everything, air sealed, put in dehumidifiers. It looks really good down there now. Added some lights so you can see through it. It's nice.
And it's got to be so much better for the house than having that moldy air coming in.
You can already feel it. You can already even just feel it in the indoor air quality. It's you're not exchanging with that because of course why. That's another pet peeve of mine. Why not? We build a house and let's just stick all of our mechanicals in the non-conditioned areas,
put them outside. That makes sense.
Or in the dirt in the crawl space. Yeah, let's put it down there. But even the air freshness inside, just it's been like 2 weeks, is noticeably different.
Oh, it's got to be so much better for them, right?
Yeah.
That part of the country, it's weird. It's vented crawl spaces are very common still, right? And I'm guessing you're still seeing new construction with vented crawl spaces, right?
There's one right next door that's a vented crawl space. Yeah. They're getting the CO in like 2 days. So
I don't quite get it. I mean, it can work.
I don't either.
Course, but
we know better than that. That's what's it's hard. So that's keep craft alive. We got to keep fighting the good fight and teach people stuff.
That's it.